Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight. You're in for one crazy, epically cool, and amazing ride tonight on the Josh Nolan and Oliver Schultz Full Throttle Racing Show. Hashtag one on YouTube. Tonight with us, we have Jeff Roth, race car driver, racing superstar. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Jeff, let's talk about your racing career. Oliver, you want to start out by asking him some questions?
Totally. So where did kind of all get started for you? How'd you kind of get introduced to the racing world?
Well, you're not going to believe this. I've always been a gearhead. My dad's always been a gearhead. Always had hot rod cars and motorcycles when I was growing up. We grew up out in Southern California. Well, we were out there till I was about 12 or 13 years old, and my dad saw that was probably going to be a place where us three boys. I got two brothers. We were going to get in trouble. So somehow, some way, I don't know if he just threw a dart over his shoulder and it landed in Northwest Arkansas. So this is how we wind up here. But dad always had hot rods, and so when I got older and got my I was the same way. Worked had my straight line cars and hot rodding around town, trouble with the cops and all that fun stuff. It's way different. It was way different 40 years ago than what it is now. So, but we were sitting. Actually, we'd done the lake thing. I had a jet boat. We got a big lake here, and I had a jet boat with a big block in it, and that thing had run about 70 mile an hour on the water, and we'd spend the weekends out at the lake, and my kids about middle of the week, they'd get sick with ear infections, sinus infections, all that stuff. So we wound up selling the boat, and Northwest Arkansas, we're home of Walmart now. We have Walmart here, which is our driving force. But we didn't have that. This was even before Walmart. And so if you wanted to go anywhere to get a good meal or something, you had to either go to Joplin or you had to go south to Fayetteville. So we were actually sitting at a pizza joint in Joplin one night, and a late model went by on an open trailer. And my wife saw that, and she goes, "Hey," she says to the waitress, "Where's the racetrack at around here?" And she says, "Well, you got 66 Speedway just right down the road. Just go down here to the stoplight, take a left 2 miles down." And I mean, 66 Speedway was state of the art, kind of like what Wheatland is right now, Lucas Oil Speedway is. So, but we went out there that one night. My two little girls, they were really young, probably 5 and 7, I'm going to say, something like that. But they loved it. And so we never did miss a race. This is probably about mid-season. And we realized we had a dirt track in our backyard, Thunder Valley Speedway, that was a phenomenal racetrack. But I just remember the last night of the points race, and one of the guys went by and had a for sale sign on his car. And my wife looked at me, she goes, "Would you like to do that?" And I said, I think it'd be fun. So that's how I got started. My wife said, "Hey, I think it'd be fun to have one of them cars." And so I started out, what I thought I was going to run was the ICA modified deal. But then we wound up in what's called a Grand National, which is like a limited late.
Yep.
But man, that was 27 years ago, and we've just, man, the rest is history. We just, my brother got involved in it. He loved it. And so that's kind of what we've done, for fun. Some people hunt, some people fish. I tell people we play in the dirt. So that's how I got started. It's just evolved into, a couple of years ago, we had, 4 full-time employees in the shop, the big S&S. We had, at one time up a dozen race cars and 10 motors. And I mean, we were in the Helter, me and Joe Godsey, and just living life, man. We was having a blast. I mean, we raced in 2 years. I bet we raced 5 years worth. I mean, we just literally beat the ground and running that Helter and then everything else we could find in between. Just had a blast.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a very cool. I know you're probably the first person I've ever asked like how they kind of got introduced to sport, and their wife was all right with it. Most people kind of have to convince them. But kind of going along with your racing career, So how'd you go along with picking your racing number, and what is that number?
Well, it's 14R. And so I was going to do 4R because it was it was me, my wife, and my two daughters. So there's where the 4 came from. And then R for Roth, of course. Well, back then, we painted our numbers on. And so we had a sign that came by, and he did all the race cars in the area. And he asked me what color I wanted, and I said, or what number rather. And I said, well, I want to be 4R. And he said, man, there's already a guy that races in your class that's 4R. And I said, oh, shoot. I said, okay, so let's just drop the R, and how about 14? He goes, well, there's a 14W and there's a 14 F, and there's this and that. And I said, well, I'll just be 14. So I started out as just number 14. And for a lot of years running the local stuff around here, that's what I was. But when we started branching out, running some MLRA stuff and whatnot, Brad Looney, he was the 14. So there's a couple guys that were already, 14. So I just said, okay, I'm just going to put the R on there and leave it. And so that's how we wound up with the R on there. So it's 14R has stuck. And so it's been that way for probably the last 10 years.
Cool. So kind of going along with this, so what do you race right now, and where do you want to be in about like around like 5 years? Where would you see yourself or want to be in 5 years with your racing career?
Well, I've I'm an old guy. It was kind of funny because a couple weeks ago we were at Thunderbird Speedway over in Muskogee running the Hayden Ross Memorial. Just a tragic deal. He was such a good kid. And me and Billy Moyer, Billy won, Logan Martin runs second, I run third. He and I were talking afterwards, and he's talking about having, retiring again. I said, oh, don't give me that crap. I said, you've been talking about doing that now for the last 3 years. Matter of fact, that you weren't going to race this year. And he just laughed. I said, it's kind of like golfing. We all suck at it, and we swear that we're never going to play again. All of a sudden, we'll hit a good shot, and we're good to go for another 3 or 4 holes until we hit a good shot again. So, I think that my deal is I want to have fun with it. When we, I had the big team. I've done the big team thing, where we had, I had two Longhorn cars. I had 2 MB custom cars. I had a TNT car. I had, probably 5, 6 Bloomquist cars. And then we had motors, whenever COVID hit and we couldn't get parts or anything, I started buying motors, Andy Durham Fords, Pro Power Fords, had some couple Cornet wide bores. Jack does a great job. Andy Durham does a great job. Bill at Pro Power does a great job. I mean, they're really a lot. I really got to experience a lot of these guys just simply because you couldn't just stay with one motor builder because they couldn't keep up. So we just we wound up with all these motors, and so I've done that. And whenever we decided that we weren't going to run up and down the road no more, I think everybody just got tired because we ran hard. And one of the crew guys was getting married, and so that we were going to lose him. And finding help out there is really tough. So when Joe said, "Hey, I'm going to put a post out there," because we had a lot of people asking us where we were going to race next. And he said, "I'm going to put something out there that we're not going to race together no more. We're still friends." I said, "Oh, absolutely." So he put that out there, and I mean, it didn't take 15 minutes, and my phone's blowing up. People want to buy my hauler. I got a blue hauler like what Rocket got, except for ours is the short nose Pete instead of the long nose Pete. And Mason Ziegler wound up buying it, but it literally was 15 minutes. Never had it for sale, but Mason been bugging me about buying it, so we sold it to him, and just through word of mouth, we sold everything else. I just told myself, whatever I don't sell, whatever 2 cars I got left, whatever 2 motors I got left, I will keep for myself, and that's what I will race. So for me, we wound up with a couple Bloomquist cars that I had updated. Shane McDowell was real instrumental in helping me get that done. And I had a TNT car that I really liked that that was kind of a hybrid of a couple different cars. That one's on its way. It's in a container on its way to Australia right now. But for me, my racing is going to be whenever I want to race. And I got a grandson right now that's coming up, and so he's racing. We've been racing go-karts, and flat carts and quarter midgets with him, and he's really, really taken to it. We entered him in 8 quarter midget races this year. He won 6 and finished second and third in the other, and he should have won one of the others, but lap cars got him. So whenever we get, whenever he's not racing and there's something going on here, then I'll race. But I've got my bus, I've got a bus, and I've got a double stack trailer still. I still have, I'm not very good at getting rid of stuff like that. So I've still got plenty. I'm going to have 2 complete race cars. I got 2 RY 45s from Andy Durham that one of them I'm going to send back to him, get freshened up. And the other one we just got back. So, my racing career, I'm kind of winding it down a little bit. I'm still going to be around, and I think I can still be competitive. But we're going to focus on my grandson, and what he wants to do. He comes from a split household. So the days that his dad's got him, or the weeks that his dad's got him, they motorcycle race. So, we don't get him just every weekend. So the weekends that we got something to do, then we'll go do with him. Otherwise, we'll load up in the bus and the trailer, and we'll take the Blimquist car, and we'll go find a race somewhere, and we'll go race.
Cool. So kind of moving the mic to Josh here. Josh, you got any questions?
Yeah, Jeff, so let's talk about your racing career a little bit further here. How much success have you had as a race car driver?
Oh, I can't keep track of. I've not kept track of wins. We're not in the hundreds by any means. We started out. After we got bit by the bug. It's worse than any drug addiction out there. We started. We probably won in our Grand National Super Stock cars. We probably won. I'm gonna say 20, 25 races there, and then we went mod racing. Jason Hughes, the shop is just right down the street from me. So, and he's a really good buddy of mine. So we bought one of the very first cars that Jason Hughes built back when they were all swing arm. And so we went mod racing, and we won, gosh darn, I don't know how many races we won. We probably had another 15, 20, mod features that we won around here. And between here and Monette, Missouri, we really didn't travel far. We run a little bit with the USMTS guys, but not, back then we just didn't travel near as much as what we did lately. But then my brother got a wild hair to do some late model racing. He showed up one day with a late model, and he said, "Here you go. Let's see how you're doing this." And so we had a local track over in Jason's town, over there in Siloam, the Oklahoma border, that raced late models. And so we probably won between there, Monette, we probably won, another 20, so I don't know, we're probably 60, 70, feature wins in. And, we went out on the Hell Tour deal. And I tell you, that is one tough deal. And the 2 years that we went, we had, Bobby was there, he ran that tour, the 2 years that we were there. He didn't, this is the first year of him not running the Hell Tour in a long time. So we had Bobby every week. We had, Dennis Erb, we had Tanner English, we had, we had Ashton Winger. And so, Jason Fager and Unzinger and Bab. And so, thing is, we don't race on the kind of tracks that they race on up there around here. Those little bull rings where you're beating the fence down, and you basically have to put yourself in a position to where if you junk a race car, oh, well, you junk a race car. Well, I'm older, and so it hurts a little bit more when I hit the wall than it does them guys. So me and the wall, we try not to get to know each other very well. So, we had a good run. I think Joe finished in the top 4. both years that we ran, and I think I was top 8 both years, something like that. So, but we made every race, and we made it to track every week. I mean, it was just getting there's half the battle. So, my winning, we've won a lot of local stuff, back when I was younger, but I just I started racing late model at a later age, and then traveling at a later age, and we had all the pieces, all the parts, but we didn't have all the pieces. You've got to have a Randall Edwards. You've got to have you got to have the crew chief to go with you to run with them guys. Bobby's got his dad, and RTJ's got his guy, and Davenport's got Rumley, and so you got we didn't have anybody. We were our own crew chief. Joe crew chief for his, and he had one guy helping him. I crew chief for my car, and I had one guy helping me. So it was the way we went about it was probably not the right way, but I just wasn't gonna drop another $100,000 per car for a crew chief. And that's basically what you'd have to put them guys make. So but we had a blast, and we got to meet a whole bunch of cool people, and got to go to a whole bunch of cool racetracks, and some of them I don't care to go back to again, and some of them I just love. So our probably the highlight for me now is going to Australia and racing in the wintertime. We that through Joe, we got hooked up with somebody that Joe had went down and raced with his grandpa 20 years ago. And he saw that Joe was racing with me, and this guy reached out to Joe and said, "Hey, we would love for Team Roth to come down." This was in 2017. We had the two new XR1s, and they probably didn't have a half a season on them, and we were running up front with the cars, and really, I mean, we were really on our game then. And so we loaded both them cars in a container, and all the parts we could think of, and fuel and tires, and we shipped that down to Australia. And I tell you what, you don't talk about a lonely feeling whenever you see a truck and a container pull out of your driveway that's got $250,000 worth of stuff in it that you got no idea where that thing's going to wind up. You got to hope, you got to trust somebody that it's going to wind up where you're sending it, or it don't fall off. It don't fall off the boat somewhere out in the middle of the ocean. So it was a little nerve wracking at first for me, because that whole container was ours. I mean, everything in that container was 100% ours, and but it all made it, and we had a great time down there. And they've come such a long way down in Australia. I mean, every one of them guys, their life's ambition is to come over here and race, and to come to America. And as jacked up as we think things are here, they still want to come over. And it is the coolest thing to go over there, and they call it Speedway. So you just tell somebody you're over there for Speedway, and man, it's like you being a rock star. And wow. They just love it. I mean, they drive on the wrong side of the road, and and the steering wheel's on the wrong side of the car, and they like their beer. I can tell you that they like to drink their alcohol. So but we have a blast. We go down there. Most beautiful beaches I've ever seen, and the nicest people. And we just look forward to that. We've not been since, I don't know, it's been 3 years since COVID. We kind of halted it. So I've got a complete car heading down there for me to race, and my son-in-law and my daughter and my grandson Reese, they're going to get to go with me. So the 4 of us are trucking down there, and Mama's going to stay home, take care of the home front, take care of the dogs, and we're gonna go where it's warm instead of cold.
Yeah. Okay. Heading down to Australia, how long is your flight there, Jeff?
Oh my gosh. Well, a good flight's about 26 hours.
Wow.
So if you can get one like that, you're doing pretty good. There's been some that I've had to schedule for Joe and Josh that were up in the 30-35 hour range with layovers and stuff like that. But yeah, you're an easy 24 to 27 hours, by the time you get there. So they're literally, it's their Saturday morning there now. So
Okay.
they're that much ahead of us.
So, okay, when are you heading out down there then, Jeff?
Well, I'm leaving actually the 23rd of December. So we
Okay.
will get there. We will get there, and Christmas Day, we'll get there the day before Christmas. And
Yeah.
then we'll have one day to prep the car. I've got a XR1 in Sydney that I've got there that I've never raced it, but I bought it, and I got a guy, Des Disney, who's been in the late model scene over there for a long time. And so he's retired. And so very meticulous. So he's gone through the car front to back, and it'll be ready for me. I just got to make sure that the seat fits me right and everything fits right, to make sure that I'm comfortable. But then we'll be loading up there, and we're going up towards Queensland, which is going east from what I understand, and some very, very, very pretty, some beautiful territory up there I've never been to. And we got 3 racetracks we're going to be going up there and racing. I believe Devin Moran's going to be there racing a couple nights at the tracks that I'm going to be at. So Devin's going to be on his honeymoon, and he's going to be racing. And so I'm going to get to, I've done this before, Devin. We've been over to Western Australia and raced together before. It's always fun. Devin's a super, super good kid. He's a heck of a wheelman, that's for dang sure. So looking forward to getting over there and having some fun and just kind of shutting it all off, for about 3 weeks I'll be gone. So then we'll fly over to WA, and that's where Kai Blight, and that's where he's from. Kai really made some noise on the Summer Nationals. Kai really came a long way, when he got his chance, put him in that car full time. First time I seen Kai, he was just knocking the right rear deck out of it and the spoiler off of it everywhere we went. And I said, you are the Bobby Pierce of Australia, is what I told him. I nicknamed him Bobby Pierce of Australia. And he just kind of looked at me, and I said, go watch Bobby. Bobby Pierce. He goes, yeah. I said, you're the same way he is, man. His body guy stays busy just putting spoilers on it and quarter panels and deck pieces. So
let's talk now about who do you have for sponsors on your race car?
Well, I've got a lot of people that, we're home builders here, have been for, going on 30 years. And so I've got a lot of my guys that work for me are really good friends of mine. I've got a plumbing company that Rob Kimball is this plumbing company. They're a nationwide company. They actually do a lot of the military bases, and they do all my plumbing on my houses. So they help with our program. Of course, my company, the Homes by Roth, we fund it, ourselves also. And then, we raise some cattle. So we've got some ranches. So the Roth Cattle Ranch, helps, the farm helps. I've got, my pest control people, Randy West at West Pest Control helps us. A title company that does all our title work, Waco Title. I've got my siding guys. I got a couple of them, we do so much that one company can't keep up. So both of my siding companies, help me out. Steven and then 5 Star, they help me out a lot. I've got my cabinet builder who, he helps us, buys me a new race suit every year, before I go to Australia. He'll buy me and whoever goes with me a new race suit. So, Lucas does me really, you wouldn't think that that'd be that big a deal, but I mean, with the cost of race suits now, holy cow, 2 of them, that adds up pretty quick. But we, people like that, I've got my own granite company, because we use granite in every one of our houses. So the Surfaces Inc. helps us. Got a real estate company that helps us. The Homescapes Realty helps us. You're always forgetting somebody. Compressor Services.
Sponsors, Jeff.
Yeah, man. Compressor Services out of Fort Smith. Jerry Thompson. He helps me, and just a lot of good people that help us get up and down the road. That just buying fuel and tires is and then you freshen the motor up, and it don't take long to burn up, $75,000 real quick. So,
Are you still looking for sponsors, Jeff?
huh?
Are you still looking for sponsors?
We always do. And I tell you what I tell people now is, you may not see them on the late models much, but you see them on that go-kart. You'll see them on something one time or another. If you go to our website, Team Roth Motorsports, you'll see my grandson with his flat cart and his quarter midget. And so we got everybody that's on my car is on his, they're on his quarter midget and on his flat cart also. So he probably gets more press time than I do, because he's been winning way more than I have. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But,
ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to be out here watching this racing show with us and Jeff Roth, reach out to Roth Motorsports, because he'd appreciate the sponsorship on his race car and his grandson's race car also.
absolutely. We never turn anything down. So every little bit of it helps. So we like I say for a long time, and when I first started, our pitch was, hey, I'm going to do it with or without you, so you might as well get on board. And nowadays I'm a little different. I'm like, hey, come on, get on here. Don't leave me. You've been with me for 15 years. Let's, we got a good thing going here. So everybody that's on my car is not only a sponsor, but they're a really good friend. They're people that we would go to dinner with, and we go to, events, charity events together and things like that. So we just it's just a little bit more than racing. Racing really is a family sport here at Roth, because my daughters, I got 3 grandsons, just got my 2 other ones out in the driveway in a flat cart here a couple weeks ago, and they had a blast. They're just turned 5 and 6, so yeah, they were throttled down. They loved it. So we got a little go-kart track out here between my house and Randy's house, but we've got some new dirt that it's just been too wet for us to get out there and work it. So I just had them racing around on the asphalt. I got a big parking lot here, so they enjoyed the heck out of that.
Well, Jeff, who is your racing hero?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I grew up, I really admire Jason Hughes. Seeing where Jason's come from, even though he raced the same time I did, to see him attain the level of accomplishment that he has. I raced with Kelly Shyrock a little bit, and Kelly's in-laws live down here. So he would, every once in a while, he would show up at our local Thunder Valley racetrack. And so, we'd strap it on with Kelly and have a good time. But Jason has just really amazed me, builds his own cars and has won, I don't know how many USMTS championships. I think him and Kelly got to be really close to being tied for the most wins ever. But, on the dirt side, like I said, I didn't get started dirt racing until I was a little bit older, and so, Terry Phillips, it's always fun to watch Terry Phillips up here. And I tell you, I tell this story. We were at that big track in Thunderbird one year, and I think we were just watching. We weren't racing yet. We hadn't started racing. We just went over there to watch in October. And Larry, Terry's dad, he flew in. He had his own plane. So he buzzed the racetrack, dipped the wing down, basically the signal for the guys to come get him at the airport. So they got him, and he come over and he jumped in one of Terry's backup cars, started at the back of a B and qualified through it. Then he started at the back of the A, and he would go up and he'd hit these guys, push their fenders up into their tires, and they'd go about 2, and then they drop out. And I'm like, oh, that's dirty. But that's just kind of, man, every advantage that you could get back then, it's just how you did it. So I think he got up to Jack Simmons, and he did that to Jack Simmons, and Jack Simmons, now I'm dating myself, Jack hadn't raced for a lot of years, but Jack Simmons knew what he'd done, and he let him go around him, and he get it right back to him. It wasn't 2 laps later, both of them were out with left rear flat tires. So it was just pushing that sheet metal up in that tire and cutting the left rear tire down. But I remember watching Larry a little bit. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of him before he retired, but I got to watch and race with Terry a lot. That was pretty cool. So, right now I admire the old guys. I admire Dale McDowell, watching Dale go out and still get it done. And, after everything he's been through and kind of, I got a date with Shane and Dale. We just got to figure out when I can get out there with my car, and then we're going to make sure that my car is like their car. So, but we're not far off, from the run that we had, a couple of weeks ago. I feel pretty good about it. We was pretty close right there. I think we made a bad tire choice. Probably should have went a little harder with a tire, because Billy kind of floundered right there with me and ran second and third the whole race. And then all of a sudden he just took off. His tire fired. He had a harder left rear tire on. So we just live and learn. Billy's one of the best too. I enjoy watching Billy race. I've raced with him a lot, especially Hell Tour racing, and he's from Arkansas. He's from Batesville, and so actually when I went to Australia the last time, Billy was over there, and we got to hang out at the beach and swap stories. So that was pretty cool.
So Oliver, do you have any questions for him?
Yeah. So, where can people find you? I know you talked about your website, but where can people contact and find you?
Well, we're at Team Roth Motorsports, and of course I'm on Facebook also, Jeff Roth. Or you can go to our business website, homesbyroth.com, and you can reach. I kind of got myself protected there, but if somebody was to go on there and wanted to get a hold of me, they could get a hold of me that way. But yeah, that's probably the three easiest ways. But I'm on Facebook. If somebody wants to look me up and message me or whatever, I always return messages and go from there.
Cool. So, as we kind of get towards the end of the show here, do you have any kind of stories or anything like that you'd like to add before we sign off?
I don't like the direction that racing's going right now, but now I get, it's probably not a story, but we something positive. Let's see here. Man, we've had so much fun. This sport has given me so much, given to me so much, so we try to give back to it, but the days of US MTS racing and the guys coming to like Salina High Banks over here, and being able to run, with the best, Mark Nobles, Kelly Shyrock, Jason Hughes, Mark Dotson, guys like that were at the pinnacle of modified racing then. And we won a qualifier over there one night, and would run in with them guys, and just being able to hang out with those guys is pretty cool. I know we went to Brownstown here a couple of years ago, and I got a picture of myself with, we made the show. And so they took a picture of the starting field, and I didn't even really think about it, but I got to looking at the picture, and there I am, kneeled down right next to Mikey Marlar. So I'm like, how cool is that to have my picture taken with Mike Marlar? I think he wound up winning that race that night, but that was pretty neat to be, to be able to race with him. And I think, I really don't have, we've done some stupid stuff. We've wound up on our lid a lot. We've pressed the envelope, and I've tried to, try not to tear myself up, because I'm the one that has to work on it a lot. So we probably, my wife says, you got to be more aggressive, so I probably have given up some wins and some positions by not being more aggressive, but it's just the way I am. But we love the sport, and we'll be involved in it one way or another. I got grandsons coming up, and he's already talking modified, and I probably get more of a kick out of him, watching him go out and him coming in and telling me that he's loose, or because he already knows at 7 years old, he knows what the car's supposed to feel like. And we'll be out there at our home track, right, just out there at the house, and he'll pull over and he'll stop and just say, hey, water the top in a little bit for me. He said, I want to run that top. He said, it's too loose if I get up top right now because there ain't enough water up there. So I'll water the top a little bit for him. Then he'll start buzzing the top. But he knows I really get a kick out of watching the young kids come through here. It's like Drake Troutman. I really get a kick out of watching Drake. You know, Drake and I got together before his dad passed away over at what's that little tiny track over there that the tornado hit there in Illinois. What's that track there? Not Peoria, but gosh darn it, little itty bitty bull ring, like what the dome's pattern after. But anyway, Drake and I kind of got, we had words over there, you know, but from that we became pretty good friends. You know, I put my arm around him and I told him, you know, he started on the front row. Him and the front row started beating and banging before we even took the green, and they wound up taking each other out and wound up taking me out. And so I was real sarcastic when he drove by, you know, me clapping my hands to him like, good job. He come back over there and he was like, what's that all about? And I said, dude, look, you and that guy were beating and banging on each other before we going down the back straightaway. And I said, then look what happened. I said, you took each other out. You wound up taking me out, and I had nothing to do with it. So I just put my arm around him. His dad come over there, and his dad was really mad because I had done that. And I said, hey, look, Sam Driggers was there. Sam said, hey, you go back, get out of here. He said, your son is he's playing in a man's world. He's getting talked to like a man. And I was very respectful. I wasn't disrespectful to him. And I put my arm around him and I said, Drake, you got to be in it to win it, son. I said, if you ain't in it, you can't finish. I said, you're never going to win one of these things. I said, you're bad fast, kid. I said, but you ain't never going to do it. Let that guy, if that guy's going to beat and bang on you, slow down the pace and let him get out there too fast. Let him get out there ahead of you. I said, but don't take the bait. So that was probably one of my good. I had a blast with, you know, I like Drake, and he had an MB custom car when we were out on the Hail Tour, and we helped him a lot. So, you know, Joe Gassi helped him a lot, but he's a good kid. Had a lot of fun with him.
So Jeff, when you're getting ready to strap into your race car, what helps get you psyched up and motivated to go out and do this?
Oh man, I just, you know, when I'm in that car, it's just me. It's just me and that race car to start with. Now, when we start rolling, you got to watch out for the other guys out there. Some of them, you just have to know who you can race with and who you can't race with. And that's something that you learn over time. And racing things are going to happen even with the guys that you think you can race with all the time. So you just can't be, can't be intimidated by that. But for me, what motivates me is I still think as an old guy, I can still get it done. And, I get out there and I the first 100 feet, I know whether or not I've made the right adjustments on my race car or not. With these big motors we got, if I go to spin the tires and it won't spin the tires, I'm probably going to be okay. But if I go out there and that thing lights them up and it's wicked loose, then I'm probably going to be too loose. So, but it's just one of them things where I know, we get in, when I get in there, I don't need a whole lot of motivation. I probably do drive harder and crazier when I'm mad. If somebody makes me mad, then, like most of us, we probably are on that edge a little bit more, but pretty easy going. Probably the biggest thing is if you turn me around in the corner or you door slam me getting in the corner, you better get away from me by the next corner. Because if you don't, I've been doing this a long time. I know where it's going to cost you the most money, and you're going to be working on your race car. So if I'm that slow, drive around me.
So who helps work on your race car?
I'm sorry?
Who helps work on your race car?
Well, I do right now. I'm doing most of myself. I've got a son-in-law. My daughter remarried, so Tony Jackson Jr.'s crew chief, Luke Hanley, he helps me. I just try not to bother him a whole lot because he works on the road quite a bit. But when he's home, I try not to take away from his family time. But if he knows I'm down here working on that race car, he'll be right down here with me. So if we pick out a weekend and we say, okay, we're going to go racing, he'll make sure that he's there a couple days so that I don't have to do it all. But, you know, with the evolution of how, you know, the steering buddy, you know, we don't need no help unloading these cars, you know. So one person can unload and push a car around. I've got lifts outside. I put it on the lift. We lift it up in there, and that's how I wash them all. And then I do my nut and my bolt check. You know, I do all that while it's up in the air. And then when I get it down on the ground, then, you know, I'll check everything on the ground. But for the most part, you know, I'm pretty much a one-man band. You know, thank goodness I only got one car to deal with. You know, there was days when my brother was racing that I had to get his car and my car ready because he just didn't like working on them. And he'd show up at the race car with it. He'd show up the racetrack with it dirty and nothing ever done to it if I let him, but I wouldn't let him. So I'd work on his, but I pretty much do, you know, me and Luke handle, you know, that. And, you know, he's more of my shot guy. He's a shot guru. And so I kind of let him handle the shock side of it, and he loves that. And then I just take care of the dumb stuff. How about that?
Okay. Well, Oliver, do you have any questions for him?
Oh, I do not.
So, Jeff, I got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah.
One, do you have a racing nickname?
You know, I never have. You know, we started out, you know, our state sporting, I guess the sport here in the state, it all revolves around the University of Arkansas, which, you know, and so they used to call, you know, I had a guy a little bit calling me the racing Razorback, but then Jared kind of took that over, you know, and he got that racing Razorback thing, you know, and but no, I've never had a nickname that's really stuck with me, you know, just never have.
So, okay, Jeff, what do you like to do away from the racetrack?
Well, I don't have a whole lot of time away from the racetrack. Up until probably a year or so ago, you know, I worked in the company a lot, so we kind of turned that over. We're trying to turn that over to my son and, you know, my brother's son-in-laws and daughters, and so they're kind of taking that part, so I don't have to be involved in the everyday business of the home building. But, you know, for me, I got a pool in my backyard, and I got 2 daughters with 3 great grandkids that if I say, hey, we're going to grill out at the house, they'll stop at the store and grab a 12-pack, and we'll come hang out in the backyard at the pool. And, you know, we'll just kind of hang out there for a while. Just, you know, usually all involves my family, you know, the kids, you know, whether we go bowling or we go, you know, I suck at golfing, but I like to go, you know, we just don't ever get a chance to go very often. But most everything we do, you know, there's always something to do in the racing world, you know, especially now that Reese has started racing the go-kart, the indoor season starting. So we can race as many nights as we want to on the indoor season. Then the dome's coming up. So, you know, I'll go up there and watch the dome because I've got to be on a plane just shortly after that over to Australia. So, you know, but when we go, you know, that's my vacation when I go down there. You know, it kind of ruins me for going on vacation anywhere else. So probably the last country in America, in the world, that likes the Americans. So we go down there and they love us, and, you know, I don't, you know, that's kind of cool. So we can go down there and have a good time with them and joke around with them, and it's all in good fun, but we just have a blast when we go down there. So
Got a couple more questions for you, Jeff, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah.
One, what's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing to eat?
My favorite thing to eat? Well, I
This way. We'll go this way, Jeff.
I'm a big fan of pizza. I like Italian, but the older you get, the harder the harder it is to keep that weight off. So I'm, you know, I came off of the Helter one year. My knees were hurting me, and so bad I couldn't hardly walk, and I was up to like 240, and I'm like, my driving suit. My dad is the nicest guy. Never have a bad word to say about nobody. One day, I don't know, they saw a picture. We were racing somewhere, and he saw a picture, and and my suit was a little tight. He says, son, your driver suit's getting a little tight, ain't it? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so, Dad. Thanks for noticing. And yeah, I just kind of, my dad said something that must be pretty obvious. So I went on a mission to lose some weight. So I'm down around 200 now, trying to lose about 10 pounds more. And but that type of food I love. But man, they make breakfast pizza now. I mean, golly, I could eat it for every meal now. They make it for breakfast. I'm going, oh, you guys suck. All this temptation and everything. I love it. You're going to Come and Go or a Casey's and they got breakfast pizza. I'm like, oh man. So, but yeah,
Jeff,
I like about everything. Probably there's three things bell peppers I'm not a fan of, cilantro I'm not a fan of, and onions. Other than that,
okay.
bring it. So
Yeah.
I'm good.
Do you have any advice for the kids coming up in the racing world?
Well, I just say, it's so hard. It's so hard for the kids because it's so expensive to get started as far as owning their own car. If you can get on, go help a racer. Go help a racer. Find a race team that will let you come over to their shop and just go help them. Go learn. If learn every bit you can, and just by having a good, if you got a good work ethic and you put in the time, something's gonna pop up for you. Something good's gonna happen. And hey, if you're not a driver, I mean, Lord knows we need crew chiefs and we need smart guys with shocks and tires and everything. So my advice to a youngster that if mom and dad ain't got a bunch of money to go out and buy you a new car, or if you don't have a car or can't afford a race car, then find somebody to go work for and hang around them and learn every bit you can. And when you get to that point, that an opportunity, a door will open for you eventually. And but you just have to be there for that to happen. If you're not there, then it's never going to happen. So I know a lot of guys that they try to get to the racetrack, and I get it. They'd rather be there and break than they would not be there at all. But you spend all that money and then you go out there and a part that you bought used from a guy winds up breaking, and then you're done. You're out for 2 months, or a motor or something. But try to get yourself lined with a team that'll let you come help them. You don't necessarily have to be paid because you're so young, but you just need the experience and the exposure.
Okay. So, Jeff, I'd like to thank you for being on our racing show tonight, talking to us about your racing career. So, Jeff, definitely, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go check out a racing page, go check out rothmotorsports.com, because that's where you'll find out a lot about Jeff and his racing team and his grandson's racing team. So, Jeff, with that being said, I'm going to have you step out. I will thank you, call you up and thank you in just a little bit in person. But I'm gonna give a little racing news update, and then I will log off here.
Okay, my friend. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Take care.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Jeff Roth, race car driver out of the state of Arizona. I mean, not Arizona, but Arkansas. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to log off of here. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Dirt Track Race Cars and Company, DirtTrackRaceCars.com. For all your racing diecast needs, go hit them up. They've got some pretty awesome 164 scale diecast. The 164 scale of Doug Wolfgang, the 8D car. They also have the 8 car by Doug Wolfgang and the 29 car that Biker Livestock car that he drove, all in 164 scale. And then we also have the 47 Danny the Dude Lasowski, Gil Sonner Casey's General Store car. And they also have the 1 Nance Sammy Swindell car that he drove in 1982. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, also I'd like to thank Brody Manning and Manning Motorsports, and also New England Helifield Association and Walking with Leyland. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys would like to sponsor our racing show or be on our racing show, feel free to call or text us at 712-209-7138, or you can email us at jjnolan151@gmail.com. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Catch you later on another episode of the Josh Nolan and Oliver Schultz Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube. And continue living life at full throttle.